I feel like practice makes me forget. Should I just stop it? I stop it.
Yeah.
What can I do if I'm actually scared of eye contact? Now that I know do's and don'ts, how can I manage anxiety?
Hi guys, welcome to the first episode of the public speaking series, where today we're gonna learn everything that has to do with speaking confidently. Well, some of us that have heard public speaking don't even know why we study, why is it important, or even what it is. Public speaking is an act of making and delivering a speech to a given audience.
Why is public speaking that important?
Alright, the importances of public speaking include it improves your critical thinking, it develops your leadership skills because you now can effectively deliver your ideas to an audience and can make some of the people change their perspective over different views. It improves your communication skills, develops your vocabulary, and increases your confidence. Now, in public speaking, we have basic principles that we need to follow, and it is 2 questions. The first question is, who are you speaking to? Who is your audience? Is my audience some of my peers? Are they adults? Are they kids? So you know the way you're gonna talk to them. The second question is, how are you speaking to them? Is your volume low? If you are talking about something sad, are you actually sounding sad? Or if they're kids, are you sounding too serious? Now, we also have the elements of verbal delivery, which include your rate, your volume. Are you audible? If I'm talking to somebody, is the person who is at the end of the room gonna hear what I'm saying? Your pitch, is your pitch high or low? If you're happy, then your pitch is gonna be a little bit on the higher side. But if you're sad, then your pitch is gonna be on the lower side. But if you actually do the inverse of that, then that's not gonna be an effective speech delivery. And the last one are pauses. You have to learn how to take pauses when you're effectively delivering your speech so that you actually give time for your audience to digest what you're saying. Picking up on the rhythm of public speaking is actually so easy. Once you get started, going on up to the end won't be hard. And of course, the hardest part is actually to get you started. Now, in getting you started, you might be having questions. What should I do and what should I not do so that I can actually start my speech nicely? And that is why now we're going to see what are the habits that you should drop if you want to speak confidently. And the first habit is saying too many fillers. Like, for example, when you put too much of that, you actually look like you don't know your speech and that speech was not from you. It looks like it's just a speech that was printed out and you are just reading it. Avoid saying this too much. Avoiding eye contact makes it hard for your audience to connect with you.
What can I do if I'm actually scared of eye contact?
Well, the only way you're gonna actually look people in their eyes is when you thug it out and do it. The only way you become comfortable with something is when you put yourself in the uncomfortable situation. In the first, it's gonna look like you can't, because sometimes looking at people right in their eyes when you're actually delivering something might make you nervous, but keep practicing. Start doing this with your family and your friends. Train yourself to look into people's eyes while you're talking, and at the end of the day, when you're actually delivering your speech, you can do it. And if you can, I also have a tip for you. Is actually, if you can't look straight into their eyes in the beginning, look at their foreheads. Somebody once told me this and it actually works, especially for people who are almost at the end of the room. If you can't dare look into eyes, train yourself to look at the forehead and slowly go into their eyes, and one day you're gonna actually be a pro at that. The third habit that you should not do is sticking to the script. You need to understand your topic well enough so that you can actually say it even if they take the book away from you. You have to know that life isn't scripted too. So basically, when you stick to the script, it looks like you don't know what you're saying. It just looks like it's something that somebody wrote for you and you're just reading it out. So be yourself and don't clutter your notes a lot, which also comes in preparing your draft. When you're preparing a speech or they tell you you have to give a certain speech about this and this, your draft doesn't have to include everything you're gonna say. It doesn't have to include the whole full introduction. It doesn't have to include the body. If you look at the major public speakers, when they go on stage, the ones, even the one at your school, that your role models, they go literally with a small paper that has small topics. It just has like key points, and then for them, they just know what they're gonna say. So you too, don't clutter in us, because the moment everything is on the paper, then you're gonna have the tendency to read it to not forget anything. So just simplify your notes. The fourth habit that you should stop is trying to be perfect. Nobody, whenever, every single person who have ever delivered a speech before has stuttered, has said words that shouldn't be said that way, and it is totally okay, because you're learning and nothing is perfect. The audience wants the real, authentic you. If you're the type of person who has a really funny humor, then don't try to change saying that, oh, I should be serious because people like serious people. No, they actually want the real you. If you're a serious type of person, then they're gonna like you. If you have a funny humor, then they're gonna like you, because you're being you. Focus on the value of what you're giving. Is actually the information you're giving good? And as long as it is nice and value, and you two are the real you, not trying to do anything, not trying to look like any other person, then you're gonna give an effective speech. The fifth habit is ignoring your body language. You need to stand tall, to lift your chest, to pull your shoulders back and hold your head high. The moment your shoulders look something like this, then you're just not gonna look confident. You actually look like somebody who's being forced to, and you look like you don't even know what you're saying. Use your hands wisely, because sometimes we tend to use our hands in very negative gestures. And the moment we use our hands like bizarre, basically just look like cartoons that are doing nothing. So know how to use your hands wisely, use it at the appropriate time, and try to use them less, because the moment you start doing it a lot, then it might distract the viewers.
I feel like speeding through the speech makes me more smarter and fluent.
No, it actually makes you, it doesn't make you look smarter or confident. It makes you look nervous and like you can't wait to finish your speech. And again, it is also hard for your audience to digest what you're saying. It must sound like the moment I talk faster, I sound more fluent, more confident, more smarter, or I know what I'm doing. But actually, no, it's just like you're nervous and you can't wait to finish. And that is not the impression we are trying to give to our audience right here. So try to go as slowly as possible, making sure that every single thought you give, the audience actually gets it and they digest the information. The seventh habit is comparing yourself to others. We tend to do this so much, especially when it is our first time to giving a speech to a given audience. We look at our role models. It doesn't necessarily have to be somebody big. Even one of your peers who is really good at public speaking, you can look at them and be like, oh, I wish I was them, and I can never talk like this. I am not funny enough. I am not serious enough. I'm not this and this and that. But that is wrong. There you're trying to be perfect, and your speech is just going to sound like it's fake. It's just going to sound like it's literally something they wrote for you and you're just reading it through. The focus on being the best version of yourself. Try to make something that is your own. As much as the people that you look up to have something of their own, you too try actually to do something that's going to be like, wow, this is my thing when I'm public speaking. Do not look at anybody else. Yes, get inspired by them, but do not try to copy them or comparing yourself to them. It's literally just a waste of time. And the eighth habit you should not do is neglecting to practice out loud.
I feel like practice makes me forget. Should I just stop it?
Neglecting to practice out loud actually settles you for negative surprises. When you practice, you know what you're gonna say, you know the examples you're gonna give, but when you refuse to practice, well, sometimes you might forget what you said. You might have wrote some key points and not have actually wrote full things. And then when you look at the paper, you're gonna look and be like, oh, what was I thinking when I wrote this? And then you forget. So basically, practice out loud in front of a mirror, and then learn actually do this every day, because practice makes perfect. And then the ninth habit, which is the last one, is ignoring your audience. The ninth habit you should stop is ignoring your audience. The audience, this speech is actually not for you only, but also for the audience. So that's why we say you need to know who you're speaking to. Am I speaking to my peers? Am I speaking to adults? Am I speaking to kids? And you have to look at, is my audience engaged or they're dozing off to what I'm saying? So whenever you're preparing a speech, think of all those factors. Which topic can interest my peers? Which which topic sounds more relevant to adults. For example, if I'm talking to adults, I'm like, okay, I know that in these adults, most of them are parents. So I can talk about something that relates to parenthood. But if I actually bring this topic to kids, they won't understand anything. So make sure you don't ignore your audience to what you're planning. Look at your audience, scan your audience, and know what type of thing does my audience like and what can I do to actually make them engage. If my audience likes when I put in some jokes, then I will do that. But if my audience looks more serious and they look like they really want more relevant and like they actually come here to get something, then that's what I'm gonna do. So don't ignore your audience.
Now that I know do's and don'ts, how can I manage anxiety?
Alright, you know the do's and don'ts, but anxiety is really hard for it to go away, especially when it's your first time. Now we're gonna look at the symptoms and actually ways you can manage them. The first one is shaking. Not most of us shake, but some of the people can actually be shaking. And how do you stop this? Well, you can self-practice using a mirror. This is so helpful because when you're actually looking at yourself in the mirror, you're like thinking, okay, this is the way my audience is gonna see me. So when I'm practicing in the mirror, I'm actually being like, if I do this, then I look bad. If I do this, then I look good. The other symptom is actually standing still. People do not want a boring speech where you actually keep standing, because standing still is also a symptom that you're anxious. So what you should do is try to make small movements so that everybody can get the message. You also see this in class. In class, your teacher doesn't stand in one position, but actually moves around the classroom to make sure everybody gets the message. And with this, avoid making so much movement, because you can literally move here and move to the other side and move back to the other side, and then you go behind. When you move too much, you're actually distracting the audience, and your audience won't even listen to what you're saying. They're actually going to be focusing on where you're going right now. So try to include small movements so that actually you look like you're engaged, you actually look like you're interested in the topic you're saying. Another symptom is sweating. Well, you can sweat when you're anxious or nervous, and my tip for this is actually carrying a handkerchief with you, so when you feel like you're sweating too much, then actually wipe yourself, and drinking some water. You can even bring it to the stage if you feel comfortable with that. And the last symptom is actually difficulty in concentration, which can also be due to eye contact. But I already gave you a tip. If you're that scared of eye contact, start by looking at the forehead, but as the more you go on public speaking, the more actually start gonna be making good eye contact. And difficulty in concentration also, you have to prepare your speech beforehand, which means self-practicing in the mirror and knowing your audience. The more you know your audience, the more you're going to engage with them, and the more you're going to do things that are also going to engage them. You have to look at if your audience is engaged, if they're bored, if they are dozing off, or if actually they like your speech and can give you a standing ovation at the end. Public speaking, giving speeches might sound like something scary, something that you could never do. You might be the type of person who's shy, but let me tell you, once you start it, you cannot stop. Remember that for you to become comfortable with something, you actually have to be uncomfortable to begin with. So I hope that these tips actually kind of got you motivated so you can start public speaking. And if you have a speech, a given speech you have to give at your school, at a party, somewhere, I hope you use these tips to speak confidently so you can look confident when you're speaking and sound confident, and your speech is gonna go good. See you in the next episode of the public speaking series. Bye.